Moving 9/11 1 year later. Good evening, I'm Bob Brenner. Thanks for joining us for the WVLT Volunteer TV News Night Watch. East Tennessee's only uninterrupted 15 minutes of news and weather. We'll have a number of stories on observances in the region and the nation, but first, a wounded Carnes High School student back home tonight after hospital treatment. She was stabbed several times in an altercation with another student. Knox County Sheriff's deputies say the 14-year-old suspect stabbed the 14-year-old victim in the head and chest area with a steak knife. The suspect was arrested at the scene. She's now being held at the County Juvenile Center, charges pending. A witness told Volunteer TV News there was nothing she could do.
The girl that got stabbed comes off bleeding all over, and the only thing we could do was sit there and cry about it. We couldn't do much. We were scared and afraid something else was going to happen.
Knox County Sheriff's Department is conducting the investigation. 2 East Tennessee brothers plead guilty to committing a federal hate crime. 23-year-old Travis Kitts and his 21-year-old brother Jason beat up a man of Middle Eastern descent at the Pine Trace Inn near McGee-Tyson Airport. The brothers say they were angry at Arabs following the 9/11 attack. Sentencing scheduled for November 12th in Knoxville. Now, time for a quick check on our wake-up weather. Meteorologist Craig Edwards standing by.
Thanks, Bob. Still looks like we're talking about very pleasant weather. Clear skies, kind of cool for tonight. The overnight low will drop off to about 58 degrees here in the city. We'll take a look around the region real quick, give you an idea of what to expect in various locations. Over on the plateau, down to about 50 degrees with partly cloudy skies. Into the valley, it looks like Maryville will see low temperatures in the mid-50s, around 56 degrees with mostly clear skies. And into the mountains for tomorrow morning, once again, still looks like we're talking about mostly clear skies, and the temperature at Newport should drop to about 53 degrees by tomorrow morning. I'll be back in a few moments to tell you how long this nice, pleasant weather is going to last, so stay with us.
As the world remembers September 11th, the memorial service in Pigeon Forge reinforces the spirit that brought America together. WVLT Volunteer TV's Will Lewis with that story.
On September the 12th, the day after the attacks, we all left that morning. We kissed our wives, we kissed our husbands, kissed the children, and said, I love you.
Now, a year later, event organizer Annette Farmer says that some no longer show the willingness to help their fellow man.
We want people to think about it and remember, we are in trouble. We're in a war at the present time.
As the memorial service continued, the theme, We Will Never Forget, took on new meaning.
I remember last year on this day what I was doing on the morning of September 11th, and what I felt that morning. And I haven't got over that. So this is kind of a healing time for me.
And with the war on terrorism continuing, for some, being called an American means even more.
Freedom, and freedom of so many things. Freedom of religion, freedom to work, to live the way we want to live, and to go where we want to go. We do what we want to do. No other country in the world, no other country in the world has these things that we have today. We should be so thankful. We should be so thankful. And red, white, and blue, beautiful colors, beautiful colors.
Will Lewis, WVLT Volunteer TV News Night Watch.
Much more coverage of 9/11 observances in the region in a moment, but first, let's take a quick look at what's ahead on Sports Overtime.
On this day of remembrance, the Vols took time out to reflect on the events of 9/11 and what it means to them. Plus, the sports world is mourning tonight the death of a football legend. Then we'll head to the Diamond, where the Smokies are looking for a new skipper, and we'll also have highlights from the big league Diamonds. And an area high school is taking its patriotic name to heart. Plus, we'll speed into some NASCAR news. Sports Overtime is speeding your way next.
While many of us spent the day remembering the events of 1 year ago, hundreds did so tonight at Market Square in Knoxville. A program called Knoxville Remembers began with singing, ended with a message of hope. Will the ceremonies be as grand next year?
I certainly hope so. I mean, if not, then it's just really not, you know, you ask yourself why, you know. So I just hope it's just a memory that keeps lingering on.
Tonight's program was hosted by Temple Baptist Church of Powell. Included in the event, a flyover by Tennessee's Air National Guard. Many East Tennesseans responded to last year's tragedy by turning 9/11 into a day of caring. The United Way event enabled a lot of East Tennesseans to get up from their office desks and spend the day painting, helping out needy organizations. Shirley Nash Pitts, Kylie Niles, Paul Clack from Home Depot, and our own Alan Williams from Volunteer TV helped create a flower garden at the Phyllis Wheatley YWCA.
The positives of the tragedy is to care for the people in the community and to do positive things and things that's needed in the community. And what's needed is, you know, like painting or planting flowers. We needed flowers.
There were a number of observances throughout East Tennessee. A difficult day for local families who lost loved ones in the attack. Pat and John Lenore, the parents of Rob, who worked in the tower too, spent the day remembering victims by participating in several area events.
I owe my family and friends in the city and the country some words and comments on this very traumatic and sad anniversary of probably the most heinous and destructive crime ever committed in our country's history.
John Lenore spoke at the kickoff of the United Way Day of Caring. He says so many people cared for his family during their time of need, it was only fitting. The Lenores then attended the dedication of the tower beams in Oak Ridge. Also there, the sister of Knoxville native Tony Carnes, who worked in the first tower and was killed in the attacks.
Today was, I got through today a lot better than I thought I would. I think this ceremony has really helped me just know that there's people out there that care for you and that everybody lost loved ones, and I gained some strength from that.
Those steel beams will now serve as a permanent hands-on history lesson to Oak Ridge students learning about the 9/11 terrorist attack. A steel beam salvaged from World Trade Center ruins now displayed just outside Oak Ridge High School. Students and school leaders dedicated the monument before a crowd estimated in the thousands. History teacher Ken Center lobbied New York officials for nearly a year to get those girders from Ground Zero to preserve the memory of the attacks.
Yeah, you know, teenagers, they need something tangible to make it real. Even I wrestled with whether it was real or not the first few days. But with this, it's obvious that something terrible happened to the United States of America.
One steel beam is part of the memorial. The other will be cut into 50 pieces for each state capital. New York, hardest hit in the 9/11 attacks. It was a somber mood all day as New Yorkers remember those killed in the World Trade Center strikes. Chris Lawrence now with the latest.
The Statue of Liberty rising behind him, President Bush stood on Ellis Island and spoke about what it is to be an American 1 year after the attacks.
We value every life. Our enemies value none, not even the innocent, not even their own.
But a day that ended in eloquence began with silence. And then, one by one,
Richard Michael Caproni.
The names were read, and for every life lost, a family mourned and remembered.
As I look back on these days, I realize how much I'll truly miss you and how much I truly love you. You were the best father I could ever ask for.
A simple ring marked the time the towers no longer stood, and President Bush descended into the dusty pit with a hug for some and a kind word for others. And finally, the lighting of an eternal flame. For a moment in time, we'll never forget. Even if we wanted to, this gaping hole at Ground Zero will be with us for months to come. But after a day of reflection, the president urged Americans to look ahead, telling them what our enemies have begun, we will finish. Chris Lawrence, CBS News, New York.
There were security concerns today. Air Force fighter jets escorted an American Airlines flight to Houston after a disturbance on board. An FBI spokesman says his understanding was, quote, it appeared to be an attempted hijacking, end quote. U.S. air marshals were on that flight. Meanwhile, a Northwest Airlines flight diverted to Fort Smith, Arkansas after the pilot reported a disturbance involving passengers. The flight 979 was en route from Memphis to Las Vegas when a group of men apparently got into a confrontation with the flight crew. FBI agents and local police surrounded the plane on the tarmac. 4 men are being held for questioning. The incident is not considered terror-related. The mold is just too bad. Heritage High School in Blount County will close for 20 days beginning Monday. Several students reportedly sick as a result of the mold. Workers will begin cleaning the school this weekend. It could mean Saturday sessions and no spring break in order to complete the required 180-day school year.
Now, East Tennessee's most dependable forecast from the WVLT Skywatch 8 weather team, featuring Pinpoint 8 Doppler radar, the most powerful Doppler radar on Earth.
And the word tonight is cool.
Cool. Cool. Right. It's going to be cool. For the next couple of days, actually, nice cool weather is moving on in. Today was not exactly a good example. It was kind of warm out there for today, but tomorrow will be a different story. High temperature for today at 88 degrees, low this morning, 66. Tonight's low will be down into the 50s. No rain in the area for today, despite the fact that we had a cold front pass by. I think it's safe to call this one a cold front, Bob. You know, we've kind of refused to call them that over the past couple of weeks because they really haven't been very cold. But this one actually is taking the temperature down. Right now we're at 73 degrees. The humidity is 61% right now. It's usually high this time of the night, but it's going to drop off for tomorrow. It feels like 77 degrees when you step outside. That's because of the humidity that's in the air. Pressure right now is 29.90. It's rising. Winds are from the north at 7 miles an hour. They continue blowing in from the north, and that's good because that's where the cool air is. Take a look. London's at 65 degrees right now, 62 in Crossville, 68 over in the Tri-Cities, now down to 66 over in Asheville, North Carolina. Chattanooga lingered around in the 90s this afternoon, finally dropped into the 80s, now 79, 73 in Nashville, 72 in Bowling Green, and Louisville, Kentucky already down to 71 degrees too. On our radar, we're not picking up any shower activity in our area. We are getting plenty of rain down south though. The areas south of Orlando all the way down to Miami getting heavy rain right now. These showers continue to make their way across Florida and moving toward the Atlantic and back up to the north. Just the remnants of what was Hurricane Gustav. Became a hurricane earlier today. Top winds at around 90 miles an hour as this system was making its way to the north and east very quickly and moving away. So it's not going to be a problem at all. A big dome of high pressure is coming our way, and this is the nice dry cool air that's coming in, and it's going to be with us for a couple of days. Now after this thing kind of slides a little further to the east, the winds on the backside will be coming up from the south. That means humidity will start coming back and temperatures will start going back up a little bit too. But there's another front back up to the north that looks like it could come in here and reinforce things by about Sunday. Temperatures for tonight dropping into the 40s off to the north and the east, and certainly in the higher elevations. In the valleys will be in the 50s for tonight. And then for tomorrow, high temperatures into the 70s with the 80s in our area and the 90s back down to the southwest. Looks like the nice pleasant temperatures will continue for the next couple of days. Here's the outlook for tonight. Partly cloudy skies early on, but clearing. And then the overnight low, 58. For tomorrow, plenty of sunshine, a nice pleasant day, one of those picture postcard kind of days with a high about 84 degrees in the afternoon and low humidity. And then the humidity levels start picking back up as we head toward the weekend. And that chance of rain actually builds in the forecast too as the next front's coming our way. Should be here by Saturday night into Sunday, so a chance of showers there. And after that front goes by, the high on Monday, only at 80 degrees. Not too bad. So it's beginning to look like fall.
But it's crackling dry out there.
It is very dry. We could use the rain.
Yeah. The 9/11 observance in Maryville, especially poignant today. On display, a quilt that's been under construction since last October, made up of 25,000 handwritten or sewn squares from all 50 states and 22 foreign countries. A quilt that will ultimately hang in a museum for 9/11 victims, but for now, is Blount County's gift to the nation. Well, I'll tell you what, the news today, a lot about 9/11, and now we're moving to sports, and I'm sure those guys got some better news.
Yeah. We do, but we also have some reflection, if you will, from the UT football team on that matter. The Vols did practice today, but did take time out as well to reflect on this day of remembrance.
And one of the best to ever play the position is Stead tonight. Coming up on Sports Overtime, we'll have more on Johnny U. Stay with us.
Now, from East Tennessee's sports leader, it's WVLT Volunteer TV Sports Overtime with Rick Russo and the entire WVLT Volunteer TV sports team.
Hello again, everyone. Alongside Justin Croft, I am Rick Russo. Well, this has certainly been a day of reflection and prayer for Americans.
And as Eric Wildell tells us, that includes the young Americans who put on the orange and white each Saturday.
I turned on the news and had the buildings burning, and you know, I was in awe. I mean, there's nothing really you can describe the feeling that a person could feel. You know, you're seeing the nation that we've been living in under security, and you know, we've just been blinded that, you know, we're here safe.
Sometimes when fans in the stands look down at their heroes, they might forget that on 9/11, on that day, those young men were just like the rest of us.
I think for a lot of us, kind of put in perspective, you know, what's really important in life. And you know, for me personally, my family travels, you know, almost every single week. You know, football is something that we all enjoy to love and to play, but I think, really put in perspective what's really important.
Last year, I just wanted to know my family was safe in Washington, D.C., or outskirts of Washington, D.C., but I take life in a whole new perspective. Just taking every day, not for granted, but just being blessed to be alive every single day.
For a man, each of the Vols we talked to pointed towards the new reality between what is a game and what is life.
It's really a tragedy that, America, the world, had to see that side of human nature.
If the terrorist goal was to break America's spirit and unity, they failed among this group, creating a generation of men with a new sense of focus.
It really makes me feel like I need to make something out of myself more than just a football player, I mean, because anything can happen, and you just have to know what you love to do and just hold on to it and live your life the right way.
Those are some wise words. This is Eric Waddell, Sports Overtime.
Thanks, Eric. Well, we move on with some sad news from the world of football. The NFL has lost one of its all-time greats. Hall of Fame quarterback Johnny Unitas has died as a result of a heart attack after playing his college ball at Louisville. Number 19 played 18 years in the NFL, passing for over 40,000 yards. He led the Colts to 3 league championships. Johnny U was 69 years old.
Johnny U considered by some the greatest quarterback ever. More news from the NFL, where there have been a couple of suspensions handed out by the league. Falcons cornerback Ray Buchanan and Bears safety Damon Moore will have the chance to cook out for the next 4 Sundays. Buchanan has been suspended after testing positive for anabolic steroids. Moore's violation, not adhering to the league's substance abuse policy.
Well, earlier this season, former Vol defensive back Terry Fair was released by the Lions. Fair has since found a home with the Carolina Panthers. This week, as fate would have it, the Lions visit the Panthers, and Fair hopes to make Detroit pay for cutting him in the final round of cuts after starting for 4 years. By the way, former Vol Deion Grant is in the Panthers secondary along with Terry Fair.
All right, switching now to baseball, and Rocket Wheeler, who has been fired by the Toronto Blue Jays organization.
Hate to see that. Rocket has been the Smokies skipper since 2000 when the team moved to its new park in Sevierville. In fact, the Smokies raised attendance all 3 seasons under Wheeler, but missed the playoffs each year. Rocket had an overall winning record with Tennessee, but finished a couple of games under 500 this season, the club's first losing year since 1995. Management felt it was time for a change.
Well, I don't think there's an issue with stability. I think it's really, I mean, this is the first time that they've really had some new management in there in quite a long time. So, it's a matter of them getting themselves settled in kind of what their philosophies are going to be and how they're going to move forward. I mean, this is their club to run. It's their decisions to make on how they want to run the club.
The skipper may not be the only thing the Smokies change. A possible switch in affiliation could take place by the end of this month. The level of baseball, however, will remain the same, AA.
To action on the field today, game 1 of a doubleheader between the Braves and Mets. And a moment of silence in the 7th inning of today's opener. Players and fans remembering September 11th. The Mets wearing their New York Police and Fire Department caps. Bottom of the 4th, the Braves get what turns out to be the game winner. A solo home run by Mark DeRosa, 6-0 Atlanta. At that point, the Braves go on to win 8-5 on an emotional day at Turner Field.
Sort of sentiment is to persevere, to live, to move on, to get on with life, to raise our families, to go out to do our jobs, to be professional, whatever that may be. I mean, I think it's obviously something that you realize now every day, that how precious life is, and how, you don't know as far as what people are capable of doing, so you better cherish the time you're here and take advantage of it.
No question. Hey, a West Coast battle in San Francisco. The Giants trying to keep their advantage in the wild card race over the Dodgers. Top of the first, former Brave Marquise Grissom on the third, bringing him home. Brian Jordan with the grounder, 1-0 L.A. In the 5th, Jordan again, this time over the wall. Forget about it. A 3-run homer. Dodgers win 7-3. The wild card race neck and neck. Both teams even there in that wild National League West. How about that? Well, a tight one out there in the West for sure. We've hit our first break here on Sports Overtime.
When we return, we'll head to Jefferson City, where the meaning of patriot seems to take on a little different tone this week. Sports Overtime continues right after this. Welcome back to Sports Overtime, where the Vols were back at practice today. Tennessee preparing for its SEC opener against Florida a week from Saturday.
UT is idle this week while the Gators host mighty Ohio University. Florida is also the focus of attention on our Sports Overtime segment tonight as we gear up for those Gators. The year was 1971, and Philip Fulmer was a player under Coach Bill Battle. The Big Orange left Gainesville with a 20-13 win. UT would not beat the Gators on the road again until when, Justin? Last season.
Yeah.
That is absolutely, what an experience that was down there.
You had a good time down there.
I did, and so did Travis Stevens.
Yes, he did.
What a game.
Great game.
All right, back to high school football for a moment, and a team which can't help but feel American pride today.
In Jefferson City, they're proud of their football Patriots, and as you'll hear, the Patriots are proud of their name.
Execute on the offensive plays and big stops on defense.
I've been waiting for this for 365 days.
That's what's expected going into a big rivalry. Where you going? Strategy and trash talking. But this weekend, it might be a little different for Jefferson County. School pride just might take on a different meaning for the Patriots.
Well, the biggest thing is I've talked to them about, and the seniors have talked about, is just going out and playing every day, playing as hard as you can, not only for, for yourself, but for the team and for this community. And, and that's a big thing going on right now across the nation. It means a lot to me. I really didn't get the full meaning of that until this morning. We had an assembly, and it really touched everybody. And it was huge for, just to sit there and listen and talk to people and hear people talk about that incident and people that had been there and so forth. And it really touched us.
One country, one community, one team.
Leadership, character, it's everything. If you don't have a team, you don't have nothing.
Yeah.
God bless the USA.
Going out there today and visiting those guys out there, and you don't really get a sense. I mean, it's football, and you go out there and you play 11 on 11, but when you start thinking about it and you break it on down, how important and how meaningful that Patriots is. And it's not just for them team. I think that word and that name, that nickname, represents every team across the board.
No question. How about Coach Meadows jumping into that situation, coming over for Alcoa and rallying his troops and really understanding what it means to be a Patriot first year out and doing pretty good so far.
Speaking of those Patriots, they're getting ready for a big game this Friday night when they'll host 4th-ranked Morristown West.
Can't wait for that battle. Of course, we'll have all your highlights on Friday night. And for the 3rd straight night, Chris Webber makes our lineup. The Sacramento Kings forward pleaded innocent today to charges of lying to a grand jury and obstructing justice. Webber's accused of interfering with the grand jury's investigation of a former Michigan booster, Ed Martin, who says he lent Webber $280,000 while he was still an amateur. Well, Webber says he received only small amounts of money, mostly under $50.
Speaking of NBA superstars, Lakers center Shaquille O'Neal finally had surgery on that big toe of his today. Doctors removed bone spurs from the joint in the toe and say he'll be sidelined from some 6 to 8 weeks. Shaq could miss LA's season opener, October 29th.
Wasn't his toe that was giving him trouble way back. It was his free throw shooting, but I think he's gotten that.
No, he doesn't.
Time for one more break on Sports Overtime.
Info on how you can receive all the new all-vol mail is up next. Stay with us.
Couple of NASCAR notes to pass along. As we told you last night, Ricky Rudd and Yates employee Larry Lackey were fined and placed on probation for fighting.
Lackey.
Wow. Black eye and all. Rudd, who's leaving Yates at the end of the season, says there's enough unity on his team still to win this year's championship. We'll have to wait and see. Hey, such is not the case over at Petty Enterprises, where the word is John Andretti may not be back next year. Andretti's contract is up at the end of the season.
In December, he is slated to box Clifford Etienne. His manager says they hope to have a deal worked out by next week for a December 7th bout, which would be Tyson's first since losing to Lennox Lewis back in June.
That guy's not through yet?
No sound there.
Unbelievable. And finally tonight, here's how to get up to the minute local and national sports scores and headlines, previews of Big Vol and Titans games, and wrap-ups of all the high school sports action around the area. It's our new all-Vol mail, folks, and we will send it straight to your email account automatically each day. If you so desire to join in, log on to volunteertv.com and click on to the e-news icon. From there, just follow the directions. It is just as easy as pie, and a really neat new thing that we've got involved here with our website, which I do hope you all are taking advantage of if you do have a computer at home. It's a lot of fun. No question.
Great there.
Well, that's all our time on this Hump Day Wednesday. Don't forget, you can call in tomorrow night at 11:15 on our weekly Sports Roundtable.
Hope to see you then. Also at 6, we'll chat live with Winston Cup driver Tony Stewart, the orange number 20. Rick Russo, I'm Justin Croft. Have a good night, everybody.
East Tennessee, thanks for watching WVLT Volunteer TV News Night Watch at 11, taking action for you.